Yeah, so what I've done, I've made a template out of some plywood, as you can probably see there. And the way I did that, I sort of drew the shape freehand halfway, and then cut it out and transferred it to the other half, so we get a symmetrical, ideal pattern. And then, of course, when it's cut out in the oak, it'll look quite effective, I think. So yeah, that's the first stage. Yeah, so there's my freehand template, which is half the shape. And then I transferred that onto the plywood, like so. And then just turn it over and flip it to the other side. And that way we've got an identical, provided we cut round this line nice and neatly, and we just sand it up. And then just to check it, if we get another piece of paper and drop it on, and draw around it with a pencil or a pen all the way round, and then if we turn that template over, it should match those pencil or pen lines that you've put on the paper exactly. And if it does, then we know that that shape is like a mirror image. So that's what we've got. We're going to use that with the router. I'm going to stick that onto the oak and then go around it with the router. That's the plan. And then we'll get all those 7 or 8 rails that need shaping all exactly the same size and the same shape. So that's the next stage. We'll come back, show you how we're doing that once we're all set up and we're on our way. Okay, so I've put my ring fence in the router table, set that on the router, and I'm using a 10mm straight fluted cutter here to cut these shapes. So what we have to do then is just measure from the outer edge of that blade to the outer edge of that ring fence, and then reduce the template by that much. And then what that does, that allows this template to slide up to this ring fence and guide that shape as we cut through the wood that we want to actually put the shape on. So all that means is then, this template that we've prepared, you see, I've just marked a line on there, 10mm, and all we need to do is get a pencil and our finger and just let that mark go all the way round, not on the straight side but just on the shaped side, and we need to trim that back by that 10mm, and that just allows that template then to slide up to that ring fence and the wood to slide up to the cutter, and it'll start to shape the wood, as we'll demonstrate when we've cut that back. So I'll catch you later on and show you how we're getting on. Okay, so I've cut that template down there and got that just how we need it with that 10mm off. And then I've put some double-sided tape on the back, and we can peel the backing off and then attach that to the it says, if you can get that's it, here we go. Pull that backing off, and then we've got our piece that we want to put the shape on. So all we've got to do is stick this straight edge of this template to the back edge of the oak, just like so. And then what we've got is the piece that we want to shape with the template on, and we turn that to the template to the bottom, and then we can gradually start cutting the shape on that piece of oak. So that's the plan. We'll give that a go in just a minute and see how we get on. Yeah, you can probably see that now. I've done a few passes, and you can see that the ring fence on the router is following that template that we've made, and it's leaving that extra 10mm on that you see that we have to trim off. So this is the actual size of the shape that we want. So yeah, that's coming on quite nicely. I wouldn't be tempted to take too much in one pass, only perhaps a mil or so really, and put your router, if you've got a variable speed one, I like to do it on the slow speed, especially when we're coming round this end grain, because it can jump and tend to rip out, so be very careful And also when you're using these, keep your fingers well out of the way of that ring fence and what have you, because the cutter's very dangerous, and it's very easy to sort of get your fingers in there if you're not careful. If you're a bit cautious, and you can also set lots of guards and things up. I always tend to do it freehand. The reason being, I can see that, and I can see where the cutter is. I always keep my fingers well out of the way, and I always respect the machine, so I don't take any chances, even though that's what it might look like I'm doing here. But I always find personally, I've been doing this nearly 60 years now, and personally I find when we've got guards on there, we can't see the cutters, and it's sometimes more easy to have an accident than when you're sort of doing it like this freehand. So this is the way I tend to do it. I'm not recommending it for everyone. And I know all the regulations say we should have all the certain guards, and I'm quite aware of that. But just to demonstrate, I'll just set this going and just do another pass. When we're coming on the end grain, it's feeding back that way, so we're going into the grain and back round, and then the cutter will cut the wood quite nicely, it won't tear it. So we just need to keep doing that, and each time we're going in about 1 millimetre, so another 3 or 4 passes and we'll be through there on the whole thing. So that's going quite nicely. We've got a nice shape coming there, and I say just take your time and be very cautious when you're using this type of arrangement, because it works quite nicely, but always respect the machine and respect what you're doing, because the cutter will cut through wood, it'll cut through fingers, and it don't know what it's cutting through, but as soon as you hit your fingers on that, you'll certainly know about it. So if you are a bit cautious, please put all the guards around it and perhaps do it that way. But yeah, it works quite nicely. We'll do a few more, and hopefully we've still got his fingers at the end of it. Right, so we're almost there, probably one more pass, which I'll just demonstrate. I'll just remove this loose flange of timber here, and then we'll be left with the shape that we want. So we'll just give that a go. Because we've taken our time and we've just gone up like a mil or so at a time, you see we've got a nice clean edge all the way around there and all the way around that side too, so that there's no breakout whatsoever there. It's left as a nice clean cut. So all we've got to do now is just clean that up when we get them all together. We've cut every one, we'll put them all together a bit like we did the draw fronts, and then we can clean that edge up just with a fine scraper, and we'll be left with that nice shape. And then we'll probably come back with a router and put a mould in around the top edge, just so that when the draws go in, we haven't got this sharp edge, but we've got a nice moulded edge as well. So all we've got to do now, take that template off, place it on the next one, and continue, and don't forget to wind the cutter back down to just a mil above the ring fence, and start the first pass and carry on like that. So we'll get all these done, and then once we've done that, we'll come back and show you how we're cleaning it up and putting the moulding on. Okay, take care, Smiling Sam, the woodwork man. If you do like what you learn, you want to ask any further questions, please do so in the comments and give us a thumbs up or whatever if you like what you're learning.